Hey there, everybody. Thanks for joining me for another one-man review. I am back to look at Volume 2 of The Summit of the Gods, scripted by Yumi Makura Baku with art by Jiro Taniguchi. When I read Volume 1, I felt like I kind of had a grip on what the general thrust of the story was, and as much as I love Jiro Taniguchi's work, I didn't want to just make another video talking about how beautiful his art is and how great the screen tones are and all that stuff. So I wasn't sure if I was going to do a review of the rest of the series. I still don't know if I'm going to do 3, 4, and 5, but 2 had a lot of interesting, intense content in it that I wanted to share to further encourage people to buy these. So the story's a little complicated in this. I would encourage you to go back and watch the first video if you want more context. But we've got a reporter who has found potentially a journal from the people who did the first climb of Mount Everest to the peak. He thinks that was found by another climber, more contemporary, like a current contemporary climber named Juichi Habu. I think Juichi's the first name, but that's this character here. And then the reporter kind of like is diving into Habu's history, trying to figure out why he would be in Nepal and how he got this journal and stuff. So you're really getting like a history of mountain climbing, also a character study of this one guy. And in the second book, you get more of a history about him and his like immediate competitor, 2 Japanese guys who were racing each other to be the first on top of these mountains. None of this, by the way, is like historical. This is fictional, but that's what's going on in this story. As far as I know, this is fiction based on largely historical events about climbing, but then you have a couple fictional characters in there. So here we have Habu, and he's attempting to do the first solo climb of the Grandest Juras. I don't know enough about mountain climbing, but it's one of the harder walls, so he's going to do this solo climb on the wall. Finding out about what solo climbing actually is, that you basically have to climb the mountain twice, because you have to like climb up, set all the points you climb up without the rope, set all the points for the rope, and get the rope put in place. And then, well, actually, you're setting the rope, but then you don't have your backpack. Then you have to go back down and get your backpack and go back up the route you already went. So it's a crazy, crazy thing. Here they're showing a situation where Habu gets hurt, like falls down the mountain and breaks his arm, which is absolutely terrifying. And he's stuck on this cliff on the side of the mountain for a couple days. He doesn't have his bivouac or anything, so he's exposed to the elements. And there's something about like the mountain climbing. My favorite comic of all time, still is The Climber. I'm really looking forward to that coming out. I just really respond to mountain climber stories, and I think part of it is because of the isolation of it. I think there's something similar to like the artist's life. And right here, he's saying like, he knows, like, this is all I have. I know that all I have is the mountain, and he's planning, how is he going to get off there to not die on there, anything like that. But that's how I have felt a lot, is that's all I know how to do is be an artist. And, I've always wanted more than that. I've always wanted a life and a family and those things. And thank goodness in the last few years, I've been able to develop that with Tori. We do have a life, and I have a life outside of comics now. I have more than the mountain. But there's something about the struggle represented in this and the climber, of that solitary lone wolf climber trying to achieve the impossible, that feels very relatable to me as an artist. And this whole scene here is just so intense. Like here again, I don't think this is a real person. I don't think this really happened, but it makes for a great story where he's got one broken arm, so he's climbing the mountain with one arm and then like using his teeth to move the knot up, and that he climbs like 25 meters that way to get back to his food in his backpack, and then he's stuck on the side of the mountain again for another night. So completely engrossing, engaging, dramatic stories here. They go very deep into the psychology. And this also, in this sequence where he's achieving the absolutely unbelievable, almost miraculous, he says, maybe these past 20 years had existed solely so I could climb this mere 25 meters from where he fell from, to where he landed. I probably never be able to repeat such a thing again. Climbing up just with the broken arm, such this miraculous feat. There was absolutely nothing left inside of me. And then he goes on to say something that I think is very important, and I think humanity as a whole could really learn. It wasn't God or luck or the like. It was who I it was I who won that right. And I think, yeah, humanity has this really bad habit of not taking credit for their great successes. We'll take credit for our failures, but if someone else does something, it's, oh, I just got lucky, or man, I got blessed, or whatever. And if you struggle and you spend, like, I've spent 30 some odd years of my life becoming good at art, not great necessarily, but I won that right. I'm not going to say that was a God given talent or I just got lucky. Like, I have fought for this tooth and nail to get as good as I have and to be in the position I'm in. And I think humanity would do better to not beat themselves up so much, admit when you've done wrong, but also be gracious to yourself and praise yourself for what you've done right. Because it is a Jiro Taniguchi book, I do need to point out like how awesome and detailed the art is. Just some really epic mountain scenes here. I absolutely love this drawing. Taniguchi, as I always say, is like a master of tones as well, so you always get beautiful tone work. I mean, the amount of detail he's putting in with the tones to create textures on the mountains is completely insane. And some of the iconic images. What the crazy thing is, in the climber, they're even better because this is already such an amazing image with such an amazing sense of scope and scale. And I could never be someone who climbed mountains like this. I'm sure I would have a panic attack like way before we even got started. But that's appealing to me. That's somewhere I would like to be. That amount of remove and isolation and feeling like you're the only person in the world. And just, yeah, the achievement, like the awful things you have to go through to get there, and then getting up there and seeing that, I think is so well represented in this image and in this series, just why this becomes an obsession for people. And it's tempting, like this and scuba diving. I'm so tempted, but I know I probably just don't have the continence for it. Just insane drawings here. But this is the Suno Hase. This is the competitor of Habu, and now he's gonna go do the Grand Jurassic Gaiyukasha. Or no, this is a book. This is the cover of a book he's putting out. But this is about his attack of the Grand Jurassic, and he's going up and completing the wall that Habu failed to do. Because he's actually taking a safer route that Habu saw and refused to do. And he gets up there and it's like, this is where he fell from, and like there's a way easier route over there. I don't know what's going on. But you do have these two guys pushing each other back and forth in this book, which is really, really cool. You get some more also just scenes where you get like the legend of Habu. What an incredible man this is. He's out trying another hike and his partner gets hurt. And instead of leaving him behind, which is something he has said earlier in the story, he'd be willing to leave a partner behind, he actually straps the guy on his back and climbs to the peak of the mountain because it's going to be easier for them to get down from where they're at to the peak and then go down than just to go straight back down. So these phenomenal superhuman feats of will. And that's a large part of what the appeal of these stories too, is just like the sense of will of what someone can accomplish when they truly become obsessed with something and put their whole life into it. And then just another, like there's so many cool ass drawings of mountains in here. And these are not adjusted photographs. These, you can see each little hatch mark. I think probably I'll have to, when the climber comes back out, I'll have to take a closer look. But I think a lot of that are actually adjusted photos, and in that sense, Jiro Taniguchi is definitely kicking everyone's ass because each one of these drawings of a mountain, every detail is put down is a pin mark. And given Taniguchi, I'm assuming he doesn't work with many assistants. He seems to take his time on books and do everything himself. I could be wrong. But he has a very particular mark that's showing up everywhere. And so I think he's doing all of the art, but I could be wrong. Either way, whoever's doing it, it's an amazing imagery and an amazing book. So I'm assuming volumes 3 through 5 will have equivalent amounts of interesting and intense stuff, and I'll probably wind up doing videos on them. But if it kind of just turns into like where I'd be saying the same things, then I won't. Either way, you should definitely go out and get any Jiro Taniguchi work you can. fanfare. Pokemon has all the English translations of them that I know of. I don't think it's a complete set yet, but they have a ton of Jiro Taniguchi's work. And I would encourage you, if you got the money, just go there and buy it all. It's all fantastic. He's an absolute master of the form. And yeah, this stuff deserves to be in every comic collector's collection. House on Fire by Matt Battaglia is a just gorgeous book where Matt's kind of making an emotional response to the years of COVID and wrapping that into a sci-fi dystopian future that really the sci-fi dystopian's backgrounded and you're focused on the emotional journey of two characters in a really beautiful way. And then that's enhanced by Matt's like really awesome, loose, kind of Paul Popish dry brush work. And then Sean and Matt have worked to get this second kind of orange spot color in there that's going to look really, really beautiful and has allowed Matt to use his dry brush technique to add tone to the thing too. So with Sean's production technique, this is going to be a gorgeous book with a lot of heart.